Now, here's a funny guy, and you need, when you're doing a show like this, you need a funny guy. He's a tremendous guy. I've known him for a long time. And when you see him in films, you say to yourself, my God, he's beautiful.
Oh, no, you don't.
Gary Mule Deer.
Mule Deer! Mule Deer.
And Gary Mule Deer has been fly fishing for 55 years, I can tell you that.
Ah.
Yeah. So that's the show.
From New York, the greatest city in the world, it's The Late Show with David Letterman. Tonight, Penelope Cruz, comedian Gary Mule Deer.
Our next guest is a very funny man. He will be performing on a new television program entitled CMT Comedy Stage. It airs February 16th on CMT. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Gary Mule Deer. Gary, come on. Welcome to the program. Welcome back to the program. Tell folks a little bit about yourself. How did you begin a career in show business? Do you remember the first kind of big thing for yourself?
Yeah, I do. It was Deadwood, South Dakota. I was hand-digging graves in the Black Hills of western South Dakota.
Good gig.
In the middle of the winter. For $50 a grave with a partner, and about to enter my 5th year as a freshman at Black Hill State Teachers College. And it suddenly dawned on me there's got to be something better than this.
Yeah.
So I took a guitar lesson and I learned 15 Johnny Cash songs in 10 days. And I went to the Buffalo Bar in Deadwood, South Dakota, and I talked the guy into hiring me for the weekend for $30, $15 a night. And so he said, okay, you can work from 9 to 1 and you got 45 minutes on, 15 off. So between sets, I played the pinball machines because they had those and they were a dime. And if you won games, you got 10 cents per game. And by the time I'd finished the night, I'd lost 13 of my $15.
Oh, ouch.
And there was a lady sitting at the bar the whole time watching me. Well, I should say, go back up and say I wasn't ready to play yet. And about every 3 or 4 bars in a song, I would miss a chord. And so I would just stop and tell a joke, and no one noticed.
Yeah.
I mean, I would miss a B7th chord. 2 guys walk into a bar, everybody goes, oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
You know, nobody noticed. And I get through with the job, and I got $2 left, and this lady sitting at the bar said, what are you going to do now? I said, probably get something to eat and go home. She said, you know, you're coming with me. From 1876 to 1979 in Deadwood, South Dakota, they had brothels over Main Street.
Wow.
They were legal all that time. Wow. She was a madam, one of the brothels. Took me upstairs to a little reception room, put me in there, and with my guitar and I started singing my Johnny Cash songs. I'd miss a chord, I'd tell a joke. The miners were there, the cowboys, the sheep herders. The Air Force Base is 50 miles away. The place was hopping, man. It was jumping. It was busy. And about 4 o'clock, I'm starting to fade. I mean, I'm getting a little tired, so the madam walks up and gives me a little black pill about this big that she used to give the girls to turn more tricks on weekends. So honest to God, the next morning, she says to me, you know, you can stop playing now, it's almost noon. and I said, okay, and she said, in fact, one of the girls really likes you over there. She said, yeah, so I went off with one of the girls to the room, but I was so wired, I just sat and talked to her for about 30 minutes. She said, you know, I got to get back to work. And I said, good, because I have to go wash my car and change my strings of my guitar. So I didn't care. So actually I got into... Thanks for sharing, okay? I got into music, comedy, gambling, drugs, and prostitution all in one night.
There you go. Wow.
The American dream, I think.
5 food groups. From that, I mean, you've had a tremendous career, and you've worked with all of the greats in music and comedy.
Yeah.
Worked with Frank Sinatra and...
Frank Sinatra and Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson,
on the
exactly.
Same night, same job.
Same show.
Yeah. That was cool.
How did that work?
I've been waiting 40 years to see what's in one of these cups.
Help yourself.
All right, yeah. Water. All right. Who knew? I'm sitting at 3 o'clock in the morning in Studio City, because that was a good time of the night for me in those days, and Steve Wynn calls from Las Vegas.
Oh, the big hotel owner.
Yes,
sure.
Yeah, and he said he was opening the Crystal Palace, opened the Crystal Room with the Golden Nugget, and he wanted somebody to go on between Frank Sinatra and Willie Nelson.
Wow.
He said, you got to be the guy. You're a perfect fit. Well, I don't know why, but Frank will open, do 35 minutes. They'll close the curtain, strike the orchestra. You'll go on, and then when they open, you'll go off. They'll open the curtain, and Willie will do 2.5 hours with the band. Well, that was great. Frank stayed the first night and watched my act. I came off stage, and his man, Jilly, came over and said, the man wants to see you. Oh. I walk over, and Frank says, I shake my hand, I say, how do you do? And he puts his hand on my shoulder and says, you're a very unusual young man. That was the only thing Frank Sinatra ever said to me. Frank decided after the second night he'd had enough of this. He didn't want to do this. He didn't want to open anymore for Willie Nelson. So he quit doing the job, and I just went on that night and did 30 minutes after that, and then Willie'd come out and do 2.5 hours. Well, what people forgot was that Frank would be in his airplane and on his way back to Palm Springs by the time Willie was doing the show. And every night they would wheel in $500 worth of Chinese food from downstairs into Frank's dressing room. But Frank was gone. So I would take it out to the service elevator, run it upstairs to my room, and just invite up everybody after the show every night. $500 worth of Chinese food. I was a hero. It was great. That was my Frank Sinatra, Willie Nelson story, yeah.
And tell me about the show, CMT Comedy Stage. What is that? It starts February 16th. What are we talking about there? It's going to be a show
with 4 different comedians, and we're going to be taping it next week, and it'll be shown in February. In fact, I found out from Maria today it's going to be on, I think, the 16th. It's just a comedy show with 4 different segments and a chance to go to Nashville and finish up recording with my Duck and Cover band on some of my CDs. So it's
good.
It's
Excellent.
going to be
great.
great.
Look for that. It's on the 16th of February, CMT Comedy Stage. Great pleasure to see you again.
Good to see you.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks,
Gary Mule there, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back with Benny King.